afternoon. So today, what we are going to talk about is the operational excellence. There are a lot of stories we hear every day. If you today, right now, switch on your TV, you will hear many of them right now. But obviously, we are here, so I'm going to talk about some stories which we have experienced. Before I talk about 3 stories of GCCs today, I would like to start with our own story. Operational excellence also means simplification. So if you look at our logo, our company brand, Kytes. So our earlier company name was Product Dossier. It was like a 14-character name, difficult to pronounce. People had to ask what a few times. And it was difficult. But when we started the company, I'm an engineer, and so is my co-founding team. So we were thinking like engineers, making it very meaningful but complicated for the end user. So we learned one lesson, simplification, right? So that's why we rebranded ourselves, and 18 months, the results are fantastic. So one lesson you should straight away take from me is simplification. Now, but simplification alone is not enough. What if you add purpose with it, right? Then it's a very great combination. And we try to do that in our brand. So if you look at those 2 kites, they are for togetherness. We believe if you want to go far, you need to go together. So that's togetherness. The colors blue and yellow there, basically while we want to reach out to the stars in the sky, that's blue, with our feet firmly on the ground, that's yellow. But that's not enough. The third point, that is our real purpose. If you notice, this kites is not with an I, there is a Y in it. And Y stands for you. Whatever we do at Kytes is basically for our customers, for our employees, and society at large. So that's and it has been fantastic. So this is our story of operational excellence. Now let me talk to you about 3 stories of what we have seen, what we have done with the GCCs. So this is a automotive OEM GCC. It's a global brand. They have a 3,000 people GCC right here in Pune. They provide technology services to their global group companies. And the challenges, what they were facing until like 9 months ago is the following. So they get a lot of work from their group companies. And this transfer of work, which they call as opportunity, was totally done in Excel sheets. There was no system, and it was emails, Excel sheets, etc. So that created a lot of problems for them. So starting with, there was like, they were using a isolated Excel sheets to do the estimation and then the pricing, all right? So this was like, everybody had their sort of own format, so they were not getting it right. And also, because they were doing in Excel, they could not do resource forecast, etc. from there. The second point, what they, the SOW which they were making, basically, it was all in Word document. It was not digitized. There was no standardized template and all those things. Then another problem they faced was, as the opportunity, the probability was 70%, they could not do any soft allocation to the opportunity. So when they actually start the project, they ran out of resources. And then, it had to wait for a couple of months before they could get in the resources. And likewise, like the digital signature, integration, delivery project creation, and all those things. So this was the challenge there. And then, once they get the project, the resource allocation, matching of skills, what is required, and most importantly, they couldn't control the estimation, right? They had a budget, and then you could allocate more or less. There was no validation. So, some projects were not as, they were not going through the budget control. And then hiring status, visibility, skills and competencies, and there was no integration. So they were isolated systems. The employee master was in SuccessFactors. The skills, the leaves were also there. So there was a lot of problem in that. And the third thing what they faced was, this was one of the most critical thing. Billing was manual. Every day they had to generate like say 500 invoices coming from different projects. But this was all manual. The content of the billing, people were going through multiple iterations, corrections, and that would take the rest of the month to do just billing. And their mandate was to close the books by, say, 10th of every month, right, or even earlier. So these were some of the problems they were facing. And then, these were the challenges I just mentioned, and then we worked with them. So this is their IT landscape. They have SuccessFactors, they have SAP, and then they have SSO. So what we did is, we did the digital transformation for them. So now we digitize the entire opportunity process. So even their counterpart, their customer, could actually send an opportunity form, right? So there was a real collaboration, how the work was given to the GCC here. They could do the estimation, they have a digital, the SOW, what people use today, it is completely digitized, so they could get analytics later on that. And then once they have the resource plan and everything, and they could get the resources which could be soft tagged, and then once the opportunity is won, project has to start, the entire resource plan comes to the project on a click of a button. And now against this, they were doing the resource allocation. And then there was an integration with SAP, so all three systems are talking to each other. And then the project goes into execution, where people were doing whatever they had to do. And then based on the allocation, the invoices were automatically generated. Now imagine 500 invoices with a few clicks you could generate automatically, which are correct first time. And then we also did the integration with SAP, so all this data went to SAP automatically, right? There was hardly any manual intervention. So that was the kind of digital transformation. And then we basically build a data warehouse, so using Power BI, you could get the analytics. So this is like end-to-end automation, which really helped them to, the impact was they could do first time right, this improved almost 20%, the billable resource utilization improved, billing automation, and most importantly, the culture building. So this is one story where how you can do the O2C process. Let me talk to you about another story. This is about healthcare center, GCC. They have 5,000 people, GCC. Basically, their parent company is into healthcare. They provide solutions for payer, claims, and provider, right? So these 5,000 people sitting here, they do a lot of innovation work, not just the support and all those things. So their challenge was, this was even bigger challenge. There was total chaos because there were systems which were belonging to the parent, like the Oracle ERP, and they had their own HRMS. Then this company had their own HRMS, which was, no one was talking to each other. And then they had, resource management, contractors, and revenue recognition, which was a major problem, was all done in Excel sheets. And there was a SharePoint, people had written some macros, and they were struggling. Every day it was a struggle. And then we started working with them that how do we do that, right? So we did exactly the very similar stuff where, we basically, their entire thing works on cost centers and bill rate master and the HRMS and this. So because their parent system is using financials, they didn't allow to integrate anything. So we got all the timesheets downloaded in an Excel sheet, and then what we did is we created a project here, and then it had all the, the resources were allocated onto it, and so now they had the resources. And the timesheets which were filled in the parent system in Oracle, we downloaded and then brought all the timesheets here so they could see their utilization, and from the, we also brought in leaves and everything so people could see the utilization here. And then, most important thing is we brought in the cost and we did the rev rec from the system, which was a major problem, major problem. And their rev rec calculations were a lot of rules, like the timesheets could change in the last 90 days. So I had recognized based on some timesheets, but then timesheets could change next month. So we have to, undo the past month revenue and add the new revenue. So there were all sorts of complications which they were doing in Excel, and the only good news was even they didn't know what is wrong, what is right? So nobody disputed. But when we started implementing, and 3 months we ran in parallel the manual system and this, there was always discrepancies. And it was always the case that the system was right. What they were doing, somebody had put in some Excel formula, and it was just running. So they were basically experiencing loss in revenue. So this is a huge transformation story. And then they had program and all those things, again, analytics and things. So the third story which I want to talk about is It's a small GCC compared to them. It's about 100 people GCC, but doing cutting edge work. They are actually part of the product development, engineering design. They have 100 people. And again, the work was downloaded here in terms of work packages. It was only emails and Excel sheets, and there were a lot of engineering documents which were all over the place. And the second problem they were facing is basically the project and resource assignment was sort of done in Excel sheets. Nobody, because they are only maybe 100 people, they could still manage it, but it was not scalable. And they had to report a lot of productivity and quality metrics to their customers. And this was very, very important. And productivity, they would capture the rework, internal rework. Like if I do a drawing, give it to QA, and they find issues coming back, that's internal rework. But if the same deliverable was sent to the customer and it comes back, that external rework. Similarly, internal quality, external quality, and there are a bunch of other metrics. So this was like, there were a couple of people who were just doing this. And then even after doing that, their data was always old. Like if I ask for the data now, I will get an answer, I have last week's data, and it will take them a couple of days to even compile, and then again it's old. So we did, again, the transformation for them, where we first of all digitized the entire opportunity, how the work packages are transferred to this company from their customers, which are their parent group companies. So that really worked like a magic, because now everybody had a visibility. My turnaround time was quicker. And then, the delivery project, and what they did was, they used the complete Kanban board and assignment of tasks. They built the workflows, what they wanted for quality, etc. And all the metrics now were calculated automatically by the system. There is no manual intervention, no manual intervention. And the best thing is, their customer could actually access what is the current matrix. Nobody had to do any, sending the data and all those things. So this is basically, again, resource management and all those things. 3 stories which I wanted to share. Now, what is common among these 3 stories? First, they build the culture, and that is creating sustainable and exponential value. And the second, which is most important, I have been hearing discussions. 5 years ago, you had no autonomy to do anything here. But today, that is all changed. And it is not stopping there. All these 3 companies now are taking us to their parents and telling them, this is the way digital transformation is achieved. Why don't you just try it out for yourself? Because you have even bigger problems. And the parents are listening, and we are in the middle of implementing it there. So this is a reverse thing is happening from India, how digital transformation can be done. So as a company, I'll skip this. As a company, we are an enterprise B2B software which helps GCCs or even IT services companies to digitally transform their entire O2C process, opportunity to cash. We have this functionality like bid management, delivery, financials, and resources. And then we are doing a lot of work on the agentic AI. We are making every touch point of our software more autonomous, more intelligent, and faster. So that's what we are doing at the moment, and then it has workflows. So this is what is giving you the operational excellence, integrating with sales excellence and the financial and HRMS excellence. And before I go, these are some of the customers. But before I go, no conversation is today's date complete unless some AI is introduced, right? Something, you have to talk about AI, otherwise you are redundant, and I don't want to risk that. So what I'm going to do something different. This is a resource management. If you were to do it manually, you have to create a request, what time, what kind of resources, then somebody will search for those resources, and they will allocate, and it will look like this. It's an entire manual process. Imagine, what if I put agentic AI into this process and make it completely autonomous? So I'm going to show you this video. It's about 3 minutes, but take a look at it.
So project manager Ravi has logged in and goes to the Kytes AI page, and then simply say allocate resources. Now, allocation of resources is basically a two-step process. A demand is created and then the resources are
It will take
allocated.
about 3 minutes,
So the first
but I'm done.
agent, the Kytes AI agent, has figured out there are no demands. So taking the confirmation to create the demands, and then Ravi says yes. So it calls the demand agent and then creates those demands. So you see, it figures out that this project needs four resources with different skills, and it has created those demands. Also, then as a proactive measure, telling that who could be the potential resources based on their availability in terms of timeline, which is like seems to be 100% everywhere, and also based on the profile match, which is like 75% everywhere. Now, with this, the resources, the demand is created, and now the Kites AI is prompting as to which resource should I allocate, and this can be also done autonomously, but just for the purpose of demo here. So I will first say, okay, let's allocate Akash. So Akash, as you can see, it's one of the choices in the second request. So it is intelligent, and also it's also a good demonstration of memory, that it figures out Akash name is prompt is taken in which context. So now Akash is allocated. The next we will allocate is Kia, Mike Kia, in the fourth request. So we'll simply say allocate Kia. And now again, it's a memory is there because the agent knows what were the fourth request, and Kia is a one of the choices of fourth request, so he is also allocated. Now let us allocate Amar and see, it's a little bit different use case, so we'll say allocate Amar. Now, the moment we say allocate Amar, it should allocate Amar, and if there is nothing wrong, and if there is anything wrong, then it will show up. Oops. So there is something wrong. What it is saying is you cannot allocate Amar, as the selected dates are not within the contract. His contract dates are basically breaching the allocation dates, and that's why. This is how the resources are allocated in a project using a agentic AI framework. And now once these resources are allocated, it goes step further. It can even assign resources. So we can say assign task. Now agentic AI will show all the available tasks which are planned, but no resources are allocated. So we can say, okay, let's assign the designing task of the two tasks which is shown. And then once we say designing, it is also saying whom do you want to assign, and we can say Kia. Again, it's a good example of how the memory is used, short-term memory, and now the task is assigned to Kia. So if we now go back and see, first thing, let us see which all resources. So you can see Akash is assigned, allocated 100% with 176 hours, and my Kia is allocated basically partial 50%, because
Show you, rather than just tell you that AI can be done, that how it is actually being done, the agentic AI agents, and this could be a part of application which will make it more autonomous. But thank you very much. I want to thank every one of you for listening to me and your time. Thank you so much.